I want to talk about a couple of figures that they needed something rough in their life. And the first one, I'm going to talk about Scat O'Leary. Hi, Scat. So Scat O'Leary likes to lie to his kids to the point where his kids beg him to correct the story. He eloped with his wife. They had 3 children outside the realm of the blessing, and then he came and got the blessing and had 3 blessed children. And then if your daughter tells me that you're not exactly forthcoming with the idea that the older 3 are not blessed children, then that means you're causing the people in the community to play around with a certain problem that's probably going to happen, and you're smart enough to know that. And oh well, if it happens, and that problem is that somebody wants to get matched with one of your kids, not realizing that they weren't blessed children. So were you planning to tell them when the parents come and ask you? You don't even tell your kids that they're not blessed children. You tell them, oh yeah, baby, you're blessed. So Scat, your wife told me in my kitchen when you stayed with us for that time that because you had some spiritual realization and you received some sort of anointing on your marriage from some kind of a spiritual trip that you had back in the day, you count your kids as blessed kids. That's what she told me. And I said, so that's good enough for your warped conscience, but that is not good enough for the community standard. So knowing that you're lurking right under these people's noses, you are going to do tremendous harm when it would have been that somebody, your kids are, many of them really cute people, really, attractive people. So somebody's enamored with one of your kids, thinks that they don't even have to do a 3-day ceremony because they just assume that they're blessed children because nobody's telling them that they're not. And the fact that you resist being corrected like that, you're like the worst Satan, because when I want to bring it up, you just want to counter-accuse. I haven't done anything to you. I just exposed you. I mean, I know that's painful. So in a sense, I could be said to have given you pain. But I didn't give you pain. Your lust gave you pain. Your lust, you had to elope with that woman on your terms. You had to rely on some spiritual trip that you had so that your kids are not under a shadow of guilt. Okay? And your daughter, having more conscience than you, God bless her, tried to tell you, stop telling me I'm a blessed child. Also, there was this issue with, look, I'm gonna give you a break, man. I'm not even gonna go, I'm gonna stop right here. But you only have an ally in people who think I'm supposed to give all things to Cain. So I'm supposed to be nice to you. I'm supposed to give nice sounding words. If you say that I hurt your feelings, then I'm supposed to take on the guilt and work to correct it. But I didn't actually do anything to you, so I don't buy that. And although these restoration rejects, still buy that, and they still try to make me feel obliged to, soothe your raging heart from your frivolous claim, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. As a matter of fact, you're dragging those people down. You're dragging them down. You're capitalizing on their stupidity that they don't know, that they don't have to embrace you, but they don't know that. And I did. So you'll be embraced because they're ignorant. You'll be embraced because they're ignorant. And the only person who might actually stop that embrace while you smoke and you have your daughter having sex, unwed sex in your house, even inviting the young man to do it, while you live your life like this and your kids invite their blessed BC friends over to your house to see the way you live, okay, nobody's supposed to say anything like that because we're supposed to be distracted with the fact that talking about the shit you do makes you feel bad. So we're guilty for talking about the shit that you do, which makes you feel bad. We're the guilty one because we made you feel bad. No, motherfucker, your conscience makes you feel bad. You're at war with your conscience, and you're doing a damn good job of stomping it out. You're doing a damn good job at killing it. And whenever one of us gives you a wake-up call, splashes some water on your face, you're pissed off that we set you back as you're in the process of stuffing your conscience into a closet and duct taping the edges of the door so you can't hear your conscience screaming from inside that closet. And every time somebody tells you the truth about the way you live, your conscience is inside that closet going, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what's going on with you. And that shit feels bad. But don't you think that I didn't fucking live your life? Are you crazy? I didn't fucking elope. I didn't lie to my kids about the nature of their identity. You did. I didn't let the secret go without correcting it among the parents in the community. For a time, you did. I didn't delude myself to think that, getting a commission from some spirit, some nebulous spirit, was equal to the Messiah on earth, standing as the substantial owner, giving that permission for you to mix sperm and egg. You did those things. You confused that spiritual shit and the real blessing. You did that. So if I thought that there was no harm that you living that way could do to other blessed families in the same community, I probably would let you go to whatever shit you were going to without incident. I wouldn't say a goddamn thing. Can't tell you how to live your life, but you can't fucking ambush God's people, and you have somebody who recognizes what's about to happen, and you want the person to stay quiet. So, the next person I want to talk about is a nutty son of a bitch named Clark. Now, Clark was cool, likes to dance and stuff like that on Sunday, but, he has a problem. So he couldn't keep himself from looking at Cookshan's daughter's ass. I didn't catch him. Deputy Doug did. Deputy Doug came to me thinking that I was a good candidate to approach him and help get him on track. So, okay, I united with that idea, and I became his mentor. I asked him to officially accept me as his mentor, because if he didn't want to accept me as his mentor, he didn't have to. That's one thing. In the church, they tell you who your able figure is, who you have to answer to, and you ain't got no say in it. But I told the guy, if you want to enter into this relationship, let me know. And if you don't, let me know. So he said, yeah, he wants to. I said, okay, well, I'm going to take you through some conditions, and you're going to get what you get, because setting conditions can bring a blessing or a curse if you fail the condition. So he gets through one 40-day condition, no problem. He gets through a second 40-day condition. Towards the end of that second 40-day condition, he's having dreams about Scat O'Leary's daughter. And he reports this to me because I did instruct him on how to report any Chapter 2 issues he might have. Because we were brought together because he has Chapter 2 issue. For God's sake, there's nothing sacred. Out of all the asses in the church to look at, you got to look at True Father's granddaughter's ass? Seriously? Seriously? Okay, well, he's new, so somebody's got to educate him, right? Anyway, he never completes the third 40-day condition because he figures escaping me, accusing me, is a better way for him. Now, out of my brother's love for him, I tried to pass my understanding of what I had been learning about what he's going through to a brother in Texas, because Clark ran away and moved to Texas. Over the summer, that brother found, yes, much of the same limitation. When he got upset with that brother and he had enough, he's able shopping now. He's able shopping. Kind of like when your children, when one parent tells your kid no, or tells your kid that he has this particular problem, and then he looks for a second opinion from the other parent. And the other parent may say yes if the parents are not united, or sometimes the kid ambushes the second parent and doesn't tell him that the first parent had brought up certain issues, right? So Clark is doing this, and he thinks that me telling the other mentors down the line all my notes, sharing my notes with them, is some sort of disrespect. He expects to escape his past instead of deal with it. And he thinks that me trying to do this is some form of anti-Christian chastisement. This is the kind of shit that you people, you empowered that. Because later on, he moves back to Pennsylvania, and he starts talking to Hyungjin directly. So in Hyungjin's mind, he's just hearing a report from Clark and this kind of thing. But I hadn't told Hyungjin what Clark had been dealing with. Hyungjin didn't know. So all that Clark was doing was starting off from scratch. Now, he had gone through 2 intense 40-day conditions, which brought him to a head. And that thing causing him to fail in the third is still there. So, of course, I'm concerned about it. And, of course, I want to, confer with the whoever the next mentor is. So he so much wanted to escape my opinion on the matter that when he said that he was going to answer to Hyungjin from now on, I reminded him to continue in his life of prayer to be mindful of whatever the issue was for him. I'm not going to talk about that. So then he called me a blessed man. I'm a blessed man. He's not blessed. He called me Archangel. Because in his mind, he had set up the way he's answering to Hyungjin. And so the idea that I would give him advice as a brother was some sort of violation in his mind. And even though he's a brand new member, he imagines that he's going to call me Archangel. So I set him straight. The next time I saw him, I set him straight. I told him, motherfucker, you can't call me Archangel. Because I fought through something to where I don't act like an archangel. I don't take bait. My whole family has sometimes gone through skimpy times because I don't take bait. So this young man just wants what he wants. Anyway, Hyungjin matches him with Scat's daughter. It's totally public and tells him, don't touch until the blessing. Well, as it were, 2 days after Hyungjin did that public spectacle, this young man is in Scat's house and is engaged in heavy petting. Now, for those people in Realville, that means putting your hands all over and inside the woman's sexual organ. Hands, touching, doing everything but penis-vagina penetration. Because Scat O'Leary invited him to go into one of the back rooms and do whatever he wanted. Now, this guy has a bone to pick with me. And after this other nut, the third nut I'm going to talk about, Lourdes Schwartz is mad at me because in January of 2017, she puts out an essay, Make Our Church Great Again, which had Robert Pickell, who is a nut in a different kind of way, but at least he's pinned to the principle, for the most part. He asked me to come back into Lourdes' Facebook group, which I had vacated because I was tired of her, and just deal with the nature of this essay because it goes back to the Restoration Age. So he knows that I've had enough of my brothers and sisters constantly feeding Cain because they still feel obligated, and feeding the church because they still feel obligated, because they are ignorant that they don't know restoration is over. So it was against my better judgment, but because my friend asked me to. And this is where the entire chain of events started. I go in there and I argue. I obliterated her entire essay. And this other nut, a very effeminate guy who's struggling with homosexual issues. 6 months earlier, I had totally gone against some pro-gay marriage article he had put up in one of the Facebook groups. So, Lourdes mobilizes this gay guy, or this pseudo-gay guy. This guy's so nutty. His brain is put together in such a fucked up way that in order to deal with his own question about whether or not he's gay, and he did this. 2, he shared it online. That's very nutty. What did he do? He went to an orgy and had sex with only the women, just to prove to himself. And there was gay lovers there, and there was all kinds of, it was a mixed orgy, right? So you could have gay sex or straight sex or whatever. So he goes to an orgy just to prove to himself that he's not gay. I'm like, didn't you hear the principle, motherfucker? That's the fucking fall. You stuck trying to prove something to Satan, and he's got you putting your penis in some foreign vagina. I mean, like, so you're a fucking scholar on the principle? Yeah, but Lourdes is willing to treat him like he's a fucking principal scholar. Like he is a viable ally in the quest to temper me. So when Cook Chin talks about, so here's what she did. This guy was so incensed that nobody had the nerve. Nobody, like, homosexuals can be very emotional and fucking nutty. And if you try to tell them the truth, they can't take it. So I've had battles with gay people online, and it's freaking crazy. Okay, so of course, from 6 months earlier, when I killed his initiative with that gay marriage article, he tried to call me a hater, and I totally didn't accept it. The burden of proof to prove that I'm not a hater. I don't play that game. So he just continues with, oh, I'm hateful. I'm not hateful. I just don't give air to these frivolous claims that I hurt you. I actually, in many cases, I don't believe I hurt you. So that's why you can't get me to act like, oh, I'm so sorry, and all this kind of shit. Because that's a distraction from the fact that maybe you shouldn't have did that thing. Maybe you shouldn't promote that issue and call yourself a principal scholar. Maybe if you promote gay marriage, you shouldn't call yourself a principal scholar. How about that? No, not I'm mean. So anyway, you got Clark, who's fingering girls 2 days after Hyungjin says not to mess with this girl, and she's got to overcome. He got rid of me, who was trying to help him deal with his purity issues. He got rid of me. He even called me Archangel. And so Lourdes mobilizes those guys. So the pseudo-gay guy puts together a dossier. He's so mad at me, he goes through all my arguments online. Especially when you people try to put the burden on me to be quote-unquote nice when somebody won't tell the truth. And I'm the only one out there doing that. You guys all give the guy a pass, and so you let relativism and pseudo-truth just sit out there because people can't take the pain of being corrected or rearranging their worldview when newer or sharper information comes into their life. You save them from the pain of having to rearrange their worldview. And I'm challenging them. So I'm the biggest, baddest guy because all you guys feel obligated because you're stuck in the restoration age and you're trying to give all things to Cain, and Cain is using the fuck out of you. He's using you to get all the stuff back for his father Satan that father won. Okay? So anyway, pseudo gay guy puts together a dossier filled with all my like smackdowns. Like when I smack somebody down and they keep badgering me to change my behavior and there's no principal reason to do it, I give them a warning and then I let them know that I'm not, they need to give up hope, I'm not listening to them. And I've been very rough when I get to that point. So they took all the worst things that, the worst sounding things, the biggest, the hardest smackdowns, and they compiled the dossier. And this guy, Dirty Fingers Clark, smacks the dossier down on Hyungjin's table in the middle of his King's Report when he was on a commercial break. The nerve of that guy. Most people don't go into Hyungjin's office when he's shooting the King's Report. But this guy, he still is not blessed. Treats a blessed man like he's Archangel. Maybe I should call him that, Clark Angel. Clark Angel. Dirty Fingers Clark Angel. But, you know, I've since heard that he's blessed and I'm happy for him. I really am. But that don't mean that motherfucker, he was a nut. So he smacks this dossier down, and Hyungjin doesn't talk to me for like 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh God. And then I'm thinking of Hyungjin, I'm like, Hyungjin, like, you can't train me like a dog. It's not like all these things I'm going to stop doing them. There's reasons. I'm trying to have a conversation with him that there's reasons why I smack those people down online. And Hyungjin understood, but Hyungjin couldn't make Richard Panzer understand, Lourdes understand. Okay, that's why I say Hyungjin was on the edge of two eras. And he finally lost because his brother was backing the other one. But because Hyungjin could understand me, you know, what did he do in the early part of 2017 after he got through the 2 weeks of silence? After he chewed on it, he gave me the project, the DP road trip. So that was his statement to all the people that were whining about me, that I'm not as bad as they wish that he would think I am.